Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Today I asked people on Reddit, what is your biggest regret in life? The one thing that you cannot get out of your head, but will never be able to change. And these are some of the most interesting answers. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. And like this video, it is much appreciated. First person says, I have only had one regret in life. One thing I would have changed. My mom was diagnosed with cancer when I was 11. It was a slap in the face when you're that young. It's hard to make sense of it. Fast forward about a year later, a year filled with chemotherapy, a weakening bald mother that now had to go wig shopping. She smoked grass. It helped. It really did. I got taken out of school one day. My aunt picked me up and was visibly upset. The car ride to the hospital was the single longest ride of my life, even though it was only about 5 miles away. We got to the hospital, and my dad was crying. That was the first time I ever saw him shed a tear, and he told me that Mom's not doing so well. She's not going to make it through the night. I don't remember much after that. All I know is I had the opportunity to go in the room with her, but I was so scared. So scared of what I was going to see, I didn't. I sat in a room a few doors down from her. Then I heard everyone let out a sort of scream/cry noise, and I knew it. She was gone. And I never went to at least see her one more time. I didn't get that last motherly kiss and hug from her. She knew I was there, and she knew I was scared. I know she understood, but I didn't have the courage to walk into that room. And I hate it now. I hate the fact that I passed up that opportunity. I know that I was only 12 years old, but it's not like I can rewind time and go back. She loved me so much, and I was such a mama's boy my whole life. She was my buddy, my best friend. And I couldn't go into that room. This was almost 20 years ago, and I still can't figure out why I didn't just go in there. F you, cancer, for taking my mom away from me. Next person says, being angry at my dad the last years of his life, staying at home, doing nothing fried his brains. He went from a high-functioning VP of finance to just sitting at home, smoking and eating junk food. His health went down the drain as his leg muscles could hardly support his weight, and he went deeper and deeper into a depression. He stopped talking to me, showed zero interest in my daughter, his first grandchild, and would just want to watch mindless TV. When I called him, he didn't know what to say, and I would get angry with him. When I visited him, he would prefer to watch TV than spend time with me. This made me more upset and angry, and I gradually spoke to him less and less. Last year of his life, he was in and out of hospital, and eventually he passed away one night in the hospital, alone and away from my mother and brother. I wish I had spent more time trying to understand him and not given up on him. I wish I had not been angry at him and tried to be in his shoes. I wish I had been there for him like a good son and not been engrossed with my own life, career, and family. I would give all the money in the world to be with him one more time and tell him how much I love him and how much he means to me. He was a good man and loved me. Life is short and something we cannot undo. Please keep your near and dear ones closest to your heart. Next person says, a year ago, I was on a train to New York City to do a comedy show. It was a hot summer day, but it was bearable. I got on the train at around 1 p.m, but the train didn't go anywhere. A dump truck had gotten into an accident in Massachusetts, which is north of me, and it ruined the Amtrak line. I was taking the Metro North, but all of the Amtrak trains south of the accident site were rerouted to other stations, mine being the most popular. So we sat in a crowded train for almost 2 hours before it took off. There were 4 people in every seat, and it was a hot day. People were irritable, but I was lucky enough to get in a section with 3 nice people. An elderly gentleman, a young Indian woman, and her boyfriend. We talked for some time as more and more passengers piled onto the train as we went down the line. About half an hour into the route, the train dies. I forget the exact reason, but now it's even hotter and people are more upset. We sat there for almost another 2 hours, but the 4 of us talked. The elderly gentleman tells me he's from New York, and he's looking for a network consultant. I was in a school for computer programming at the time, and he offered me the job on the spot. Finally, after 5 hours of that grueling train ride, he gets to the stop where we all changed trains because the one we were on broke down. He gives me a card and tells me that the door will always be open. He told me the 5 hours we spent in that crowded car was more than enough of an interview. I never did call that man, and my God, I wish I did. If I had moved out of my house and found an apartment in New York working for this man, maybe my life wouldn't be as empty as it is now, working a 9-to-5 job with no fulfillment, still looking for that girl to sweep me off my feet. Maybe someday I'll get another offer that will take me away from the mundane life I live now. Next person says, I have a lot of anecdotal regrets, terrible decision-making, unfavorable conclusions to drunken escapades of the opposite sex, as cringeworthy and soul-destroying as they are to remember. It's another story to tell, right? So I can't say I regret them all too much. I may have failed spectacularly in many situations, but at least I took a shot, and the shame hasn't killed me yet. I have one true regret, though, not because I think she was the one, or because I hold some ill-conceived notion that secondary school romance is to be all and end all, but because for however long it may have lasted, it could have been something amazing, and because I made a scumbag decision that haunts me to this day, and is still something I let affect my decisions to this day despite the fact that I should know better. To cut a long story short, I was very timidly and frigidly involved with a girl called Michelle, a beautiful girl with figure that could easily fool many men right onto the sex offenders register. We got on great, me, her, and a couple of others from our subset of the wide social circles cast throughout my peers were really on a very natural and honest wavelength. It just felt right being around them regardless of the company or situation. It all just fit together. My best friend had coerced me on from time to time and gone above and beyond the call of duty as a wingman to try and further my relationship with this girl. But I was timid, shy, frigid, and generally quite inept with the ladies, so me, and her never really officially made anything of our friendship other than childish endeavors into mild petting. Now, cut to the week my dad walked out on our family. The news didn't hit me hard, but it was a bit of a surprise. Now, Michelle and one of our mutual female friends say we should go camping together to take my mind off things. So a nice campfire, a cozy tent, and a few drinks. We are all sitting around the fire topless. Things are looking promising for my virgin self. We are in the tent groping and kissing. I am at full mast, but still in my trousers. I keep denying their advances to remove my trousers. Eventually, my constant cock-blocking tires the girls, and one goes to sleep while Michelle and I keep kissing, and generally being intimate from the waist up until we finally give into the night and fall asleep. The morning comes, and we pack up while chatting randomly about my dad, how I feel, what's up, until I eventually get scared/annoyed by the probing into my sexual reluctance and literally run away. Now, that isn't my biggest regret. I mean, turning down losing my virginity in a threesome with 2 busted teenage girls does rank quite high up there with my biggest regrets. But what I regret more is how I handled the aftermath. Eventually, confusion set in. And again, my best friend was tasked with trying to understand and translate to Michelle why I had cock-blocked them both and her, considering it had become apparent to all that I was quite into her. The long and the short of it is I was unsure of my body. I was a late bloomer. I mean, I was well endowed enough and had no size concerns, but chose to run with that as my cover story. The truth was my inability to ejaculate, that I believe was caused by the 2 testicular surgeries growing up, because I could only dry fap although I was defective, and the fear of ridicule scared even my drunk self out of sexy time. Then I made the biggest mistake of my life. She was reassuring, understanding, and keen to move past a drunken night of teenage insecurity. However, this girl, beautiful and busty as she was, had a slight overbite and some mild acne, hardly deal breakers for someone whom I consider myself to have an almost soulmate-esque connection with. However, fearing what other people may think of me as news of our involvement became a possible public knowledge, wondering if other people thought she wasn't the prettiest girl in school, and worrying that people might mock our relationship, I cowardly began to distance myself from her, until I think my mixed and woefully pathetic signals after the events of that night led her to just forget about us, and we just stayed, friends in a more social circle, kind of way until eventually school. Finished, and we went our different ways. I'm 26 now. I know for a fact she is in a long-term serious relationship, and I wish that she wasn't so I could reconnect properly and maybe give things a shot. We've been in contact once since those days via Facebook and exchanged pleasantries and some catch-up, but I never dare confess what I felt about how our situation panned out, or even just apologize for being a fucking moron about it. And I wish I could without seeming like I'm trying to weasel into something untoward.